Alright, it is Indian Independence Day, and we have gotten all dressed and are walking to the big festival at the school.
This is how you walk with a sari. You have to. We have to keep going for these stupid rabies shots.
Yes, and before we have fun at the Independence Day festivities, we have to get our rabies shot. Alright, we're inside the gym. This is where we're going to have our beginning of our Independence Day celebration. Still have about 20 minutes, half hour. Alright, we're filling up. Should be starting in just a moment. Over here. Where was she? Oh, there she is. And I've been looking for Jonah. Sorry, Jonah, I haven't been able to find you.
Please quickly find a seat. Thank you. And before we start, I'd like to request everyone who has a mobile phone here, can you please switch or put them on silent mode? Thank you.
Well, good morning, welcome, and a very happy Independence Day. It's a special pleasure to welcome many visitors and guests with us today, including Dr. Eleanor Nicholson, President of the Woodstock Board of Directors. And I also see many faces here today that I don't recognize, and that tells me that this occasion brings together a remarkable collection of Woodstock friends and visitors. It shouldn't be a surprise that in the world's largest democracy, we find one of the world's oldest and most renowned international schools. Maybe on a day like this, when everyone is dressed like this, that we see Woodstock for what it is, and we recognize the remarkable opportunities and the remarkable responsibility that we all have in this fascinating, astonishing country in which we're privileged to live. This morning, it's my very special pleasure to welcome a very distinguished guest as our guest speaker. Bhuvanesh Kumari Patalia is a member of Woodstock's distinguished alumni community. She's a graduate of the class of 1950. She joined Woodstock in 1948, went on from Woodstock to attend Miranda House, Delhi University, where she decided on a career in law. She went on to Yale Law School and became a founding associate in the largest law firm in New Delhi. She became one of India's first specialists in international corporate law. She was also the first woman to practice in several countries of West Asia, including practicing in the Supreme Court of India. Invited to membership by 4 bar associations, recognition also came through the Indian Law Federation and the Indian Commission of Jurists' invitation to join its executive. in welcoming Bhuvanesh here today. We also recognise that she is a member of Woodstock's new board of directors. A previous Woodstock principal, in paying tribute to Bhuvanesh, said this: "What is most impressive about Bhuvanesh is her enormous generosity of spirit, how she has used her status, both earned and inherited, to enhance the experience of others." On behalf of all of us, it's my pleasure to welcome Bhuvanesh here on this auspicious day of celebration.
What are we here today? What are we here for today? Whenever I come back to Woodstock School, I always come back as a student. At times, we were old students, and now I just say I'm an ancient student. I graduated in 1950, but I have no feeling other than the fact that I am a Woodstock student and will always be one. The first time I had an occasion to participate in India Independence Day was in 1948. The staff just got hold of me, wrapped me up in a sari, and we had a little pageant in Barker Hall, and I was dressed up as Mother India and made to stand on a pedestal. That's the closest I've ever been to motherhood. How fortunate for me. I don't mean to say too much to anybody to be a good citizen, to be a good Indian, to be a good American, and Jonathan G. to be a good principal. But because we know we are that, let me give you a little background in what is the meaning of independence. Thucydides, a Greek philosopher and historian who lived in the 5th century BC, at the time when Greece was divided into small little city-states. The strongest city-state of Athens annexed Melos. Melos pleaded for their independence, but Athens rejected the plea and said, independence is only a question among equals. The weak must suffer what they must, and the strong do what they must. For nearly 700 years, if not more, our country, India, was not independent in any sense of the word, nor was it a united nation. It was also fragmented into kingdoms and small kingdoms, not the princely states that you know of today, but other minor kingdoms. The British were here for another 200 years. Why did this happen? Because we were weak and disunited, and we suffered like the city-state of Melos. During the parliamentary debates in the House of Commons, Churchill in 1945 pompously said to the House of Commons that he was then Prime Minister of Great Britain, and he pompously said that he hadn't come to preside over the liquidation of the British Empire. And what was his remarks? He said, power will go to the hands of rascals, rogues, freebooters. All Indian leaders will be of low caliber and men of straw. They will have sweet tongues and silly hearts. They will fight amongst themselves for power, and India will be lost in political squabbles. A day would come when even the air and water would be taxed. So far as Churchill's description of what India would be if we were granted independence, today his remarks are frighteningly spot on. But no, we are not going to let anyone come back again. We'll face our problems and we shall overcome. Eleanor Roosevelt, wife of the late President Roosevelt of the USA, once subjected Winston Churchill to a diatribe on the subject of British imperialism. The Indians have suffered for years under British oppression, she declared. Churchill retorted, are we talking about the brown-skinned Indians in India who have multiplied under benevolent British rule? Or are we speaking about the red-skinned Indians in America, who I understand are now almost extinct? So far as the population rise in our country is concerned, I think we've done infinitely better after independence. And who knows how far we can grow in this direction without the benevolent British rule. So what does independence really mean? Not just raising and saluting a flag on Independence Day, but consciously reaching out to people who are less fortunate than us and have no idea of how to overcome gross poverty, terrible hunger, and impossible illiteracy. What comes to mind is Nobel Prize winner Rabindranath Tagore's famous description of freedom. Tagore lived from 1861 to 1941, and he has a poem, and the first, to my mind, is the first outreach to global citizenship and leadership, which Woodstock School has now articulated in its 2020 vision. Tagore's poem is entitled, Where the Mind is Without Fear. Let me read it to you. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. While Tagore pleads for freedom on a global basis, every human being can't have such a vast outreach, but we, as single individuals, can help each other in terms of one of my most favorite poems by a very great American poetess, Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson lived in 1830 to 1886 and was an American poet. Though virtually unknown in her lifetime, Dickinson has come to be regarded along with Walt Whitman as one of the two quintessential American poets of the 19th century. And what did she say? This is what she said to us: I shall not live in vain. If I can't stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. Today, as Woodstock students, we're extremely lucky to have a very, very benevolent president, Dr. Nicholson, whose country has much in common with us